way we ixnay on any harm, cause snakes play and fakes lay like hidden bombs. We march in unison, the soul is truer than eternal missions with just a lifetime to do it in. Stronghold.
All right, folks, we are back. It's the INFOWARRIOR with Jason Bermas. And I went home today to go let my dogs out like I do every afternoon, got to work, go out, and I'm watching the news, the national news. I believe it was ABC. And, you know, last night I reported that under this new plan, we are literally going to give more powers to the corrupt Federal Reserve. The reason that we're in this mess, while the media just does not want to talk about H.R. 1207, the fact that it has enough sponsors for it go into the House and will be heard on the floor. Do you understand? And they're saying how great this thing is. They act like this is going to solve all the financial problems. Were you listening 5, 6, 7 years ago when we said they want to blow the economy out? They want to kill the dollar altogether. They want a North American Union. You would have to be blind and so willfully ignorant at this point not to realize their agenda. NPR is doing stories. Is that out there right now? I didn't grab it. Where they're now talking about geoengineering and climate change and blocking the sun's rays. But it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And why is that? Well, we allow the establishment, again, to treat us like we are mindless children. I don't even want to say mindless children because children have more sense and are less mindless than what we have become. It's right in our face. It's right in front of us, folks. And they want to bring us down to second world nation status as they do this, as the plans go through. Oh, Jason, you're an extremist. Well, that's what they want you to believe. That's what they're writing down in their documentation to try to demonize me and others with this message. U.S. Senate panel approves comprehensive energy bill. Now, what do you think this bill is going to be about? It's about putting the little man down further and taxing him even more. A U.S. Senate committee on Wednesday approved a comprehensive energy package that would require utilities to generate 15% of electricity from renewable resources such as solar and wind power by 2021. But again, they want to regulate it. They want to regulate it. In other words, they don't want the mom and pop out there with their own solar panels. They just don't want that. To them, that's not victory. That's a loss. That's detrimental. They don't want you actually off the system. They don't want you to be actually sustainable. They throw the word sustainable around. You know what sustainability actually means? It means you have to die or be my slave. I'm God. I'm the Lord. I make the decisions here in this new technopoly. And that's what it is. You know, we talked about some serious weaponry yesterday, and I want to get everybody's take on it. It's 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. Hopefully we're going to get over some technical difficulties so we can take your calls about all these issues. But let's talk about this economy because it's out of control. They want us to have less power, to sacrifice more, to join youth corps, to have mandatory service for baby boomers, H.R. 1444, where they openly discuss how they're going to have a panel on how can we sway the American people into mandatory public service at all ages, and how are we going to sell this to the baby boomers? Don't believe me? Go read the legislation, H.R. 1444. There's a story archived over at the INFOWARRIOR.com as we speak. And, you know, again, the Senate just approved this bill. This is about you living at a lower standard. This has nothing to do with trying to save the planet. I promise you. Now, as far as the economy goes, Eddie Bauer files bankruptcy. Just one bankruptcy after another. I got to tell you, I do take kind of a sick joy in Eddie Bauer, and let me tell you why. First of all, I don't care for their clothing. I don't care for their overpriced attitude, and I don't care for their elitism. Among, you know, just kids that aren't even elitists. They're little sons of yuppie punks, and they don't even realize it. And what I really didn't appreciate is when I went to college and somebody who had never worked a day in their life was driving around in a $45,000 Eddie Bauer mobile, you know, one of these sleek SUVs with all the fixins under this name. Anyway, Eddie Bauer files for bankruptcy, gets $202 million offer. That's pretty. You better take the money and run. Get out of the dollar. It's over. You know they're gutting the nation. Outdoor apparel retailer Eddie Bauer Holdings, Inc., filed for bankruptcy for the second time in 6 years. Numero dos. and said it would seek court approval to sell its assets to private equity firm CCMP Capital for $202 million. The company, which also sought relief under Canada's bankruptcy laws, filed for Chapter 11 protection in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Delaware. Let's see. CCMP is the stalking horse bidder, which submits a starting bid to set the floor under other possible offers. Well, let's see if, I don't think it's going to get much more. I mean, this economy, why do you want a crappy clothing line that's overrated? Oh, that's actually a really funny kind of blow to the yuppies. It was kind of a symbolism of how they thought they were elitist. But you're not thinking that so much anymore, are you? Now that you're lining up for social services, it's a real beat deal. I know. It's not so cool when you can't pay your bills. It's not so cool when you can't take care of your family, when you can't laugh at the less fortunate, when you are the less fortunate all of a sudden, when you're asking for Medicaid. It's not so sunshines and happy times then, is it? And more people are just losing their jobs left and right. The war on the middle class is such a one-sided war. It's like a slaughter fest. They may have already gained victory at this point. I mean, again, they're praising the banks today on top of saying the Federal Reserve's going to save us. And they say, after all, it's time for a fixin'. The last time we did something like this was the Great Depression, where they set us up for a bigger fall. Again, watch America, Freedom to Fascism. See why it's featured in the MIAC report. Don't just read about it. Just don't get turned on to the show. See the information in it. Understand the Federal Reserve criminal cartel and how it is run. And how the IRS is like their capo arm coming to get you. Big banks repay government bailout funds. It's laughable. 10 of the largest U.S. banks said on Wednesday they repaid more than $66 billion of taxpayer bailout funds as they race to extract themselves from government restrictions on pay for top executives. $66 billion. And then they lie again in here and they say out of the $700 billion TARP funds. No, they stole over $14 trillion, according to Bloomberg. Over $14 trillion, and they gave back $66 billion. Oh, I guess it was only around $13.5 trillion. Oh, wait, no. Actually, it would be even more than $13.5 trillion. It would be $13.9. Oh, just $13.9 trillion, just almost $14 trillion, not over it. Oh, wow. Unbelievable. They're saints. That's what they are. They're absolute saints. Let's see what they got to say about Chrysler. We paid the bailout, folks. We paid the bailout for these car companies, and look what we got. We got them shipped overseas and sold to China and South America, and a big ha, let's just gut you for some more money. Meanwhile, all your benefits are gone, your pension funds are dead, and people are going to start hanging themselves, come wintertime. Come Christmas, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be the leanest Christmas. Let me repeat that, the leanest Christmas that this country has seen in a very long time. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to say it is going to be a record amount of suicides in November and December. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but you watch. You watch what happens. Chrysler Group LLC said on Wednesday it will resume production of vehicles in 7 North American assembly plants by the end of the month. Wow. 7. Ooh, 7. Yeah. It would be funny if it weren't true, if it weren't Reuters, if it weren't what they're telling you. Yeah, we got 7 plants left in the United States. Go Chrysler. Chrysler said 2 of the plants are in Michigan. I wonder how many they had compared to 20 years ago. I would say they would have had to have had at least 5. Let's see. 1 is in Ohio and 1 is in Missouri. 2 other plants are in Ontario, Canada, and 1 is in Mexico. So wait a minute. Wait. Oh, they're North. See, they're not even American plants. Let's repeat that. This is a North American Union document without the headline. Let me repeat that. This is a North American Union document announcing it to you without the headline. Chrysler Group LLC said on Wednesday it will resume production of vehicles in 7 North American assembly plants by the end of the month. The first large-scale resumption of production since the Fiat SPA. And what they're going to be doing is, again, 2 in Michigan, 1 in Ohio, 1 in Missouri, 2 in Ontario, Canadian arm. See, Canada, for those that can't see a map, that's above us. That's above the United States. Canada, United States. Oh, and then we have a plant in Mexico. See, Mexico's under us. Okay, everybody who needs me to talk really slow and act like we're watching Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street again, that's the North American Union, kids. That's what Chrysler has turned into, a North American Union venture at your expense. You paid the bailout. You fell for it, suckers. No pensions, no benefits. They probably had to lay off. I would say they probably laid off within the past 10 years, 80% of their staff. Maybe that's wrong. That's a blind guess. That could be a lot of Johnny nonsense out of Jason Bermas, but who knows? Maybe it could be worse than 80%. But now it's a North American Union business, at least of American workers. Lord knows they've hired overseas workers.